Hello and welcome to Orion Outreach. I'm Joe Johnson and I am here with representatives of the Detroit Fight Club. Now I know the first rule of Fight Club is not to talk about it, but that's exactly what we're going to do here today. Tell us a little bit about the origins of the Fight Club. Tell me all about it.
So we formed the Detroit Fight Club in 2013. It was a year after the first Battle of the Nations that Team USA participated in Warsaw, Poland. I was actually one of the 29 Americans that went there and participated. The Battle of the Nations is a medieval tournament recreating foot combat in a tournament setting from the 14th to the 16th century.
Oh, wow. So how many people make up the organization here locally?
We've got about, I'd say 20 or 25 folks that come out and participate in all our activities overall.
Where are the events held? Do they move around to different locations, or do you have a main meeting place?
Yeah, we have a training club. It's in Troy, just off of 15 and Maple. And we host events there as well as at other places throughout the Metro Detroit area.
Wow.
Like Michigan Comic-Con will be there this summer, downtown Detroit. We held an event called Alma Assault, and of course the fall. And we held that in Novi last year. This year we're probably going to hold it at our facility in Troy. So
now, to become a member, what's involved? It looks like there's quite a bit of an investment in gear and stuff. So to become a member of your organization, what's expected of someone?
So it's expected that you come out and train. We have membership dues, and that includes using our club equipment, because not everybody's willing to just go out and dump $3,000 on a suit of armor.
Right.
Of course, that doesn't replace you getting armor long term, but some people, they just want to understand it, try it out, get a feel for it. But we also do other forms of combat besides armored combat. We do what's called HEMA, so that's Historic European Martial Arts, and that's unarmored combat with longswords. So it's in following fight manuals from the 14th, 15th, 16th century.
With the popularity of the TV show Game of Thrones, do you find that interest surges in this type of combat?
That's always the question. It's like Game of Thrones, but in real life. And it's like, well, yeah, kind of, but not really. There's definitely people, and we have a member that's like, I love it, Game of Thrones, I want in, let's do it. So yeah, it does help, absolutely.
Now during combat, I mean, obviously you guys aren't out there to hurt each other. So what's the goal? What do you hope the participants get out of taking part in this? So
the goal is the same as any martial arts tournament, whether it's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Tang Soo Do, karate, taekwondo, whatever martial arts you can imagine, wrestling, Greco-Roman wrestling. It's to best your opponent. Train at the martial art you've chosen to train at and become the best competitor that you can become.
So I imagine not only do participants benefit physically, but mentally, right, and spiritually, I would imagine.
Oh yes, absolutely. It's a connection, and like I've never been attracted to Eastern martial arts. Knights in armor, that's me. I'm in. We're wearing between 50 and 80 pounds of armor.
Oh, wow.
And just putting that on and fighting and training, you need to be physically fit to be able to do it. And then the mental aspect, once you've overcome the physical and you've become understanding of the equipment, it really is just a high-level chess game. You're going to do this, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this, you're going to do that. And trying to set your opponent up just like a chess game.
Now, as far as the gear goes, how authentic do you try to get with the gear? Do you study? Do you read books? Do you look at the history of this? Do you try to be very authentic, or is it adapted for modern times?
So it's funny you should ask that. We do, in what we do, it's actually called Historic Medieval Battles. And it's a reconstruction, and our goal is to look like we just stepped out of an effigy, a sarcophagus, where it's got an image of a knight, or a manuscript that's got an image of the knight, and we just stepped off the pages of history, and you're like, wow, that's that.
Yeah.
However, HEMA that I mentioned earlier, that's pure sport fighting. It's like a mix between what we do and modern Olympic fencing. And then there's also other sports coming along that are like post-apocalyptic, where it's like, okay, we're putting on armor and fantasy armor and just throwing down. We're slowly getting into that, but that's another up and coming style that will be similar. It's still a martial art with armor and weapons.
Now, those of you who live here in the area, the Lake Orion area, Oxford, you're going to have an opportunity to see the combat in action. There's a big festival planned at Canterbury Village this summer. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, let me give that to Will Kelly.
Thanks. It's Will Kelly here, and we're putting on the fair, myself and Jason Womack at Canterbury Village. It's a medieval-based fair. We're going to have jousters. We're going to have the Detroit Fight Club there. Various reenactment groups, Templar Knights, Vikings, and we're going to have many activities for kids. Lots of activities for children to be able to play in. There is one boffer list that we're going to have where the kids can actually get involved, and they have these foam swords, and they can learn how to maneuver, and they can play all day long in there.
Now, I know Canterbury Village has had different types of events there in the past, but this is the first time where they're hosting this particular fair. Talk about the origins. How did it come about?
It came about, Jason Womack and myself, we have a shop in the back row of Canterbury Village, and we've been involved with various medieval Renaissance fairs over the years. And in looking at the structure, the complex of Canterbury Village, walking into the King's Court Castle with all the wooden structures and that, we felt this is just gotta host, a fair like this. And into that, we're having the fair on Saturday and Sunday, June 8th and 9th. And we're also having a royal feast where individuals can partake in the King's Court Castle. There'll be a king and a queen, royal court. There'll be knights that they can meet there. These guys will be here, the Detroit Fight Club. So it's going to be kind of interactive all the way through. And we're working on various other surprises to bring into the fair to make it really interesting. And if people want to find more information about the fair, they can look at our Facebook page. That's Dragon's Fire Medieval Fair on Facebook.
Now, the grounds at Canterbury Village are just spectacular, and there's all kinds of areas. Are you going to try and utilize all the space on the grounds?
That's what we're looking at doing. The main structure, or the main fair, is going to be held in a 5-acre open area. That'll be fenced off, and the knights will be there with the on horseback jousting. Detroit Fight Club will be there, and vendors will be there selling various medieval products and current day products also.
Oh, that sounds really exciting. Sounds like a lot of fun.
It will be, yeah.
Now, you also have something coming up very soon. You guys are going to be traveling overseas to Serbia, and I'm really curious about that. Talk about that trip and what you plan on doing during that.
Yeah, so I mentioned Battle of Nations. It's essentially the world championship of our chosen sport. Okay. The event includes different categories. So there's duels, which are like high-speed point counting strikes. You'll see some of that in a little bit. There's also pro fights or outrace fights, which is extreme kind of one-on-one. People like to call it MMA and box in armor, but it's not quite. It's similar but different. And they run like 3 rounds, 2-minute rounds. And then there's the real, to me, the spectacular part. It's 5-on-5, and the win condition for those are get your opponent to the ground however you can. So either hitting them to the point where they're like, I don't want to be hit anymore, or throwing them down, just physically wrestling and tossing them into the dirt. Then there's a 12-on-12, and then 30-on-30. And then just for fun, because we love what we do, we're going to have 150 on 150 fighting.
Oh, man.
And
Battle Royale.
Battle Royale. It's going to be intense. So we fought among other clubs in the U.S. and for the one of 3 spots in the 5-on-5 team. And we won one of those spots down in Clemson, South Carolina.
Wow.
And so we get to go over there and participate in this tournament that is some amazing teams. And because in the past, the Team USA has done so well, we got bumped into the gold category. And in the gold category, we actually get the privilege of fighting Russia 1 and UK 1, which are the 2 best teams in the world right now.
Wow.
So it's going to be pretty fantastic.
Now, getting over there, I'm sure it's not easy and it's not cheap. What do you need to do between now and then to prepare your team to go overseas?
Yeah, so each one of us have to get our bags packed and figured out how much does all this equipment fit in. So you get 50 pounds per bag, and as I mentioned, 50 to 80 pounds. We're easily over that just in armor, let alone having some clothes to change into. So it's definitely a challenge. And then like long weapons, it's where do those fit, right? A snowboard bag or something.
Yeah, right.
So in addition, with the 2 bags, that's an extra $100 each way for us to be able to go. In the past, it's been in Western Europe, and that's a little cheaper to get to from the States. This year, being in it's just outside Belgrade, Serbia, and a fortified castle called Smedrova, which is the medieval capital of Serbia, and it's fantastic. For training, I'm actually going to let Scott talk to you. He's been fighting with us for 1 year now, or just less than a year, and he's fantastic, come along great. But I'll let him tell you about our training.
All right. So how do you prepare for competition? What kind of disciplines do you have to go through to get ready?
Well, you got to be physically fit with your cardio and everything else. So we're probably in the gym 5 days a week, on treadmills, working out with weights, trying to keep everything nice and strong so you can keep the stamina on the armor. And then we're probably in armor, twice a week, sometimes 3 times a week in the school training, either with armor or foam. And just, you got to keep hitting and keep getting ready and just keep working at it.
Terrific. Yeah. So do you want to demonstrate some of the key moves that you might show off during competition? All right.
So just talking about the equipment, this is a 7-pound axe, and the max weight is about 7 pounds. And you can feel it's pretty beefy. All our weapons are dull, so they're not sharp. They will cut, but they're dull, so they're not going to actually slice.
So it's more blunt force you're looking
Correct.
for. Yeah.
We have 2-handed axes. We have 1-handed axes, of course, right? A lot of people you'll see using falchions, not in the duels tournaments, but in the taking opponents to the ground, you see these falchions. And that's what we're actually in a fight with. And then we've got long swords, right? Again, blunted, pretty standard stuff. A couple of the key things, just punches. That will take people down sometimes if you get them well enough. Turn around. Getting behind somebody, and I'm a short guy, he's 6'3", I just jump on his shoulders, and when you get 250, 300 pounds on somebody's back, all of a sudden, with movement, takes them to the ground a lot. We knee, kicks to the body, things of that nature. And then just wrestling techniques, Greco-Roman wrestling techniques, like you'll throw me down to the ground with a hip toss and things like that.
Yeah, so it's all momentum and center of gravity and all that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
Great. Now, do you just go to the sword store and buy this stuff, or do you have people who fabricate these things?
So, like the armor here, I actually built myself.
Wow.
And that's one of our club membership benefits is you can come out and learn to make armor and make your own armor, because if you can buy the metal and you have a little bit of skill and time and you want to make it yourself, you can make it yourself versus just buying it from Eastern Europe, which is where most of the armor is made. But there's it's an underground niche, where it's a bunch of people have grown up and done reenactments. There's other organizations like the SCA, that's Society for Creative Anachronism. And there's like 40,000 people in the U.S. that have done that through the years and participate in that organization. And a lot of them, they make this equipment as well. So
that's impressive. It looks great. All right, so this is your arena right here. Let's see what you got. All right.
good warm-up.
So there's a lot of padding there to absorb the blow, so you can pretty much go full speed, right?
Exactly.
and being in a small space like this makes it a little difficult. And the first fight's always tough for me. But as you can see, it's you know, we're swinging, we're doing pretty good.
That's awesome.
So
All right.
let's switch to sword and board.
Just be aware of the edges.
Okay.
Fantastic.
Yeah, go ahead.
So yeah, it looks to be quite the workout. That looks like a lot of fun.
That's right.
Awesome. All right. Anything else you want to wrap things up?
Yeah.
And have
So you can find us on Facebook. You find us on Facebook. You can find us just DetroitFight.club. If you type that in your browser, you'll find it. Of course, Canterbury Village for the fair. You'll get to see us fighting there. And we'll even do some demonstration fights where there's like 5-on-5 or something.
Okay. And you have examples of what you do on YouTube. Can people find you on YouTube, see some of the work on there?
Yeah, there's lots of examples. We haven't done a YouTube channel yet, but we're going to. We'll put that out on our Facebook page and on our website. Woo!
Battle of the Nations, you'll see a lot.
Yeah, Battle of the Nations. You could botn.info for the website. There will be a live stream of that. It's May 2nd through the 5th.
Okay.
So 4 days of fun. They're 6 hours ahead of us, so you have to get up early to watch it.
All right.
To get this off.
Go right ahead.
So if you want to see more of this at the Dragons Fire Medieval Fair
Okay.
at Canterbury Village, June 8th and 9th, we'll have these guys fighting in various times during the day, along with the jousters and lots of activities for the kids.
All right. We'll be there with our cameras to cover all the activities. That sounds like a lot of
Let's end
fun.
with this.
Oh,
Just showing you we've got a real cool shirt that we had made up to commemorate us going to Serbia. And
Terrific.
why don't you give Scott a good whack in the head? Watch out, Will.
All right. All right.
No, not flat, on edge.
No?
On edge.
On edge?
Yeah.
Oh, man, I'm not wired for this.
You're
All
gonna-
right. All right.
Come over like a hammer.
Man, come over the top.
Over
All
the
right.
top like a hammer. One
Right
hand,
on top of the head
Just
there?
like your hammer.
All right.
Drive them into the ground.
Oh, man. I could get used to that quickly. All right. Thanks a lot, everybody. Looking forward to the event, and thank you for watching Orion Outreach. We'll see you next time.